Ever heard of a time when black voices, once ignored, took over the stage, the page, and the mic? Step into the Harlem Renaissance, where art became a weapon, and identity took form. In this video, we're going back to the 1920s and 30s, when Harlem became the center of black creativity. When poets lit up the page. Painters turned struggle into beauty. Musicians gave sound to the soul of a people. Together, they sparked a movement that didn't end in Harlem. It laid the foundation for the fight for civil rights. Let's dive in. It all started with a journey. A massive movement of people chasing freedom and opportunity. Between 1916 and the 1970s, over 6 million black families left the South, during the Great Migration. They were done with laws that kept them down, and towns that kept them afraid. And, they packed up everything they owned, and headed north. Places like Chicago, Detroit, and New York became new homes. But, Harlem became the heart of it all. What they brought with them wasn't just luggage. They carried music, faith, stories, dreams, and the spirit of survival. And when that spirit landed in Harlem, something incredible began to grow. The streets buzzed with energy. Music drifted through windows, while voices debated in barbershops. Living rooms turned into meeting spaces for artists and thinkers. Walls displayed bold colors and sharp ideas. Corners filled with sound, movement, and conversation. Harlem felt alive, full of motion, full of meaning. This wasn't about fitting in. It wasn't about waiting for approval. Black creators took control of the story. They redefined what it meant to be seen. In Harlem, expression wasn't quiet. It was proud, fearless, and the world was watching. When words refused to stay quiet. Art filled the streets, but something else carried just as much power. It was the writing. In poems, stories, and essays, black voices spoke without fear. Let's step into the world of the writers, who didn't just create. They confronted, remembered, and rebuilt. Harlem gave writers a place to speak without fear. They didn't just write, they told the truth. Not every message from the Harlem Renaissance came through writing or music. Sometimes, it was the body that told the story. Dance and live performance gave artists new ways to express themselves. Especially in a time when speaking out openly carried risk. Every step, every movement, every scene on stage carried meaning. Harlem's dancers, choreographers, and performers didn't just entertain crowds. They shifted culture. Josephine Baker began her journey in Harlem before gaining international fame. She used her stage presence to challenge how the world viewed black women. Her performances combined elegance with defiance. Audiences may have cheered her in Paris, but her confidence and creativity were shaped in Harlem. Katherine Dunham was both a dancer and a scholar. She studied the roots of African and Caribbean movement and used that research to build a new kind of dance. Her choreography honored traditional forms while introducing new ideas to American stages. Through her work, she showed that dance could be art, history, and activism all at once. Bilbo Jangles Robinson was a tap dancer who turned movement into sound. He brought joy to his performances, but his presence spoke volumes. Robinson was one of the first black entertainers to gain widespread success across racial lines. He opened doors for future performers, not just with talent but with resilience. Harlem's impact on theater was just as powerful. Stages across the neighborhood gave voice to everyday black life. Playwrights tackled stories of love, struggle, hope, and truth. For many audiences, it was the first time they saw people like themselves in lead roles. Langston Hughes didn't stop at poetry. His plays felt like real conversations. Pulled straight from the streets of Harlem. They were smart, honest, and full of humanity. Through drama, he showed that everyday life had value, and deserved a spotlight. Performance during the Harlem Renaissance was not just about applause. It was about standing tall, holding space, and refusing to be invisible. The Harlem Renaissance wasn't limited to sound or performance. Visual art also played a vital role in shaping how Black life was seen and understood. Through paintings, sculptures, illustrations, and designs, Black artists created powerful images that challenged stereotypes and celebrated identity. Aaron Douglas is often called the father of African American art. His style was modern, layered, and filled with symbolism. He used silhouettes, bold shapes, and African-inspired imagery to tell stories of history, struggle, and strength. Douglas created murals, book covers, and magazine illustrations that gave the Harlem Renaissance its visual language. Augusta Savage brought life to her work through sculpture. She shaped clay into faces that reflected dignity and identity. Her work focused on everyday people, students, children, and musicians, capturing their humanity. Savage was also a teacher and mentor. She helped build space for future artists by founding one of Harlem's most important art schools. Palmer Hayden focused on scenes from everyday life. He painted barbershops, street corners, and churches, moments that others overlooked. His work was sometimes criticized for its raw style, but Hayden's goal was clear. He wanted to preserve the rhythms and routines of Black life as it was. Lois Jones worked across styles and continents. Her paintings blended African traditions, modern art, and deep cultural reflection. She studied in Paris, exhibited internationally, and never stopped evolving. Lois Jones reminded the world that Black art belonged anywhere and could speak to everyone. These artists didn't just create images. They created visibility. They put Black life on canvas, not as background, but as the subject. Their work gave shape to a movement and helped generations see themselves through a different lens. How did Black-owned media help the movement grow? The Harlem Renaissance was not only powered by art, but also by those who published, printed, and promoted it. Black-owned newspapers and magazines gave creators a platform to be heard, without filtering their message through outside control. Publications like The Crisis, edited by W.E.B. Du Bois, and Opportunity, run by the National Urban League, played a major role. They showcased new writers, artists, and thinkers, who helped shape public conversations about race, identity, and justice. These outlets also encouraged readers to take pride in Black culture and history. At a time when mainstream media often ignored or distorted Black life, these publications became tools for truth and progress. They helped build a community of readers who saw their lives reflected in print, and inspired a wave of cultural confidence that extended beyond Harlem. Who carries the torch today? The Harlem Renaissance created a blueprint that still shapes Black culture and creativity. Its voices spoke to freedom, truth, and pride. And that energy continues in the work of today's artists and thinkers. You can see Langston Hughes's influence in writers like Ta-Nehisi Coates and Amanda Gorman, who use language to confront injustice and uplift the Black experience. Zora Neale Hurston's bold storytelling lives on through authors like Jesmyn Ward and Tayari Jones, who write deeply rooted narratives about family, history, and survival. In music, artists like Janelle Monáe and Kendrick Lamar echo the spirit of Renaissance performers, who used sound to speak for the people. Even in visual art, creators like Kehinde Wiley and Micheline Thomas reflect Black identity in ways that challenge how we're seen. The Harlem Renaissance may be over, but its legacy is alive in the words we write, the music we play, and the stories we tell. That's a wrap, history seekers. Next, watch the 400-year journey from Africa to America. Getting to the roots is where history comes alive. We uncover the truth about Africa, African Americans, and American history, one story at a time. Thanks for watching. Peace and love.